Hello there, and welcome to Sunday Summary for the fifth Sunday of Easter. And this is a week late. You you might have been wondering where the Sunday Summary is. I doubt it, but I just didn't get around to making a video for last Sunday. It's actually Saturday, the 25th of May today when I'm recording this. And last Sunday was just really busy. I had a lot of things going on that day, including a graduation party. And then I went back to my sister's house in Lawrence right after the 5 o'clock Mass. They were waiting for me. So I just didn't have time to record a Sunday summary. I had hoped to record it earlier, but it just didn't happen. So here I am a week late doing a recap of where I was last week. So the Sunday summaries, I just kind of talk about what I talked about in the gospel. But one of the things that made it so busy was the announcement that Father Dan had that he was being transferred and that that he was going to be moving to Emporia and to Olpe to be a pastor. And so it was very exciting, but sad at the same time. So I was there, and I was there for all the masses to say a few words there at the end as well. And then this week, we also announced that we will be receiving a new priest, a brand new priest, Father Nicholas Ashmore, and he just was ordained today, May 25th. So it was a great joy to be there at the ordination ceremony to witness 6 new priests being ordained. And so what a beautiful thing that was today. So that was what was going on this past Sunday. There were other announcements. We have our big Pentecost celebration coming up. And so lots of things going on. So I just didn't get a chance to record a live video. My voice seems to be failing me. I don't know what's happening there. We will see what I can do tomorrow. I've got the 8 and the 10 o'clock Mass tomorrow, Sunday, the May 26th, for the 6th Sunday of Easter. But last Sunday, and I'm doing this kind of for posterity, and so I have hopefully a string of remembrance record of where I was. When I look at my videos 3 years from now, hopefully I can kind of remember what I said so I don't repeat myself as well. That's another intent of these videos. So in today's gospel, we heard in some ways, a very basic gospel, something that should be primary to all Christians, all Catholics, that we are commanded to love one another. And Jesus says, I give you a new commandment, love one another. And as I was talking about the homily, and it's a little bit weird talking about a homily from a week ago, because, all these things happen, but it's still somewhat in my memory of what I said. But the basic point was when he says it's a new commandment, that might seem like that's a little bit weird, because it's not all that new, loving one another, because that was one of the commandments. And Jesus said, when he was asked, Jesus, what is the greatest commandment? He said, love Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. And he said, these are the 2 greatest commandments. So we've already heard about the commandment to love, and the Old Testament is about love. We sometimes think the Old Testament, that's all about God being condemning or whatever. And it's not, it's about love. And so what makes it new? What's the new commandment? My reflection was this, that the old commandment was love your neighbor as yourself. But the new commandment is love your neighbor as God, right? So that's the difference. Love your neighbor as yourself is in the old law, but the new commandment is love your neighbor as God, because Jesus says, I command you, love one another. As I have loved you, you should have love for your disciples. And so then what I did is I did kind of a recap then of where we have seen Jesus love. I say often that my spiritual direction in seminary, he instructed me often to know Jesus through the scriptures, and especially through the gospels. And so I challenge people to know Jesus Christ through the gospels and through the scriptures. But I kind of recapped where we were from the beginning of Lent, or at least since the 3rd Sunday of Lent, talking about the prodigal son, the woman caught in adultery, the fishing where Jesus is going, or the disciples are going fishing, and Jesus sees them on the shore and he invites them in. He says, come have breakfast. And then he says to Peter, do you love me? And you said, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And so it's kind of recapping. And what I challenged them, and I challenge you now, whenever you might be watching this video, is love as Jesus loved. Well, so how do you know how Jesus loved? Well, don't just say, he just was nice to everybody. That's not really how we see Jesus love. He loves in a particular way. And so I challenge you to look at how you love one another, and does it look like Jesus Christ? And primarily also, I use the example of the cross. That's the major way that we see Christ loving us, that he loved us even to death and even beyond death into a new life. So the commandment is this: love one another as I have loved you. So do you love your neighbor? Do you love as Jesus loved? So do you know how Jesus loved? And then do you put it into practice? That's the challenge. And that's the Sunday summary for the fifth Sunday of Easter, year C. Have a blessed week, day, wherever you are. Peace.